Dimelang Baratua, and welcome to the archive where we explore the stories of artists. We need media in order to propel the industry forward.
So it's very important to highlight those sort of people that are not really seen. Because at the end of the day, all we see is the actors and the famous directors. And, that's where it ends. But we need to go beyond that.
But it's like that surrender of this story goes beyond me.
Yeah.
And I have to allow the story to be shaped by the community in which it's birthed.
In filmmaking, from development right up to distribution, even post that, the story goes through different journeys and it's in the hands of different people at different times.
Unpack their journeys and shine a light on their art. We have a prominent figure in the SA film industry. Yes, you heard right. Mr. SA Film Chronicles himself. I'm talking about Eddie Ramohlale. He is a filmmaker, a film reviewer, and an advocate for African storytelling through the lens of film. He started out as a film reviewer, and now not only does he do film, but he also works in the reality TV space and short film space as well. Well, Eddie, welcome to the archive.
Yeah.
It is so lovely to have you here.
Hi, Hope. Thank you so much for having me here.
I just want to say your outfit looks so good. Like, I love fashion, right?
Yeah.
So your outfit is giving like high couture. Like, I could see you wear this at New York Fashion Week. Like, what inspired your look?
Yeah, I got this outfit, actually attended a premiere in January for Griselda.
Okay.
And then I bought it from Zara, and it was just there, and I was just like, it suits my style. So the theme actually for that event was it was like a more of a 70s look.
Okay.
So I wore this top, and then I wore like these other, beige kind of pants.
Okay.
And I had like my chain, and I had like a mustache, a fake mustache, and these like old school glasses. So, it completed the look quite well. So, that's, yeah.
Do you like fashion?
Not really. Hey.
Okay,
I'm a filmmaker, so...
What does that mean?
Filmmakers, we just wear black.
That's so true. That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah, we don't care about, like, how we look. Your appearance is important. I always say that, like, the way you dress is the way you introduce... Before someone introduce... Like, if I'm meeting you, the way I look already says something about me. So my look is already my introduction before I even open my mouth.
Your mouth.
Exactly.
That's so true. I believe that fully. I'm one to, like, in my head, I'm 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
So my clothes should represent that. Even if my life doesn't, I will never get to introduce myself to you ever again.
Yeah.
So this, like how I look, even how you smile, those little things, like, okay.
They go a long way.
Yes, they do. Okay, Eddie, so here at the archive, we love to call ourselves the home of African artists and entertainers.
Yeah.
So when you're at home, the Wi-Fi automatically connects when you walk in, you go to the fridge, you get a plate, you are comfortable.
Absolutely.
So I could sit here and give your bio to our people, but what better way for you to kind of say, this is who Eddie is, this is what I do, this is the kind of person I am. So in your own words, how would you describe Eddie Ramohlale?
Yeah, so I believe that I'm a film geek. I'm very passionate about local films and South African films and South African stories. And this is something that grew from, I think, when I was still in high school. That's when I started, developing this love and passion for it. And the reason why I do what I do is because, like, I believe that we have such amazing local films and TV series. And I always just thought that, like, people don't really
know about them.
So the marketing side of our films is terrible
it's
in
bad.
This country. And which brings me to the next point of, that's actually how I started SA Film Chronicles as well, which is a media publication. And we cover, like, your red carpets. We also do interviews, press junkets. And the reason for that was because, like, I just felt that, like, people weren't really seeing our films and weren't appreciating our filmmakers and our actors and actresses. And I was like, well, how about we shine a spotlight on them and to just basically make them feel seen and to show them that we appreciate your work. We appreciate what you're doing and all the inputs and, that you're putting into this industry. So yeah, essentially that's how it is. I grew up, just taking it back. I'm born and bred in Joburg.
Okay.
And my whole life, I grew up here. There was a time actually where my mom lost her job and we had to move to Limpopo for a while. And we just, like my siblings and I, we just couldn't survive there.
Why?
We lived there for like
it's
6
hot,
months.
Ne?
Nah, not that. I mean,
you're not big
I tell you why. Because we went to these English speaking schools and like we were so conditioned and grew up in that. Then now we went to Limpopo and now and like now you're learning maths kaspedi. You know what I'm saying? And then like you went from learning maths in English and now you're learning maths kaspedi or geography kaspedi, So that whole transition, I mean, it didn't affect me that much because I was like very, very young. But I mean, my older brother and my sister, like they, because they were like mid primary, so I was still like in the beginning, So yeah, I think for them it was pretty tough. So yeah, I grew up in Joburg, been here, then I went to primary school, went to Leicester Road Primary School, then high school, went to JPR School for Boys, so I went to a boys' school. I was in a boarding school as well.
Okay.
Then after that, went through a bit of a rocky patch in life. I think after high school, I wish I would have taken a gap year. And I want to just say to, people out there, if you're completing high school and you don't know what you're going to do after high school and you're considering taking a gap year, I think you should really consider taking a gap year because it'll just give you time to really understand and know what you really want to do. Because I think a lot of people, like for me,
they don't know what they want to do.
Like for me, what happened was after high school, I was lucky enough to get a bursary because I played hockey as well in high school. So I was lucky to get a bursary and then I went to UJ. But it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do. I always
So you got like the scholarship for hockey and you were that guy.
But it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do, So then I always wanted to do film. I actually have a background in, I started off wanting to do cinematography. And now recently it's over the years it developed more into film directing. If I wasn't going on
thank you. That was like really great because I think we got a different element from Eddie. Just before he went to Limpopo in his primary, you told us a bit about your high school experience. So I want to look at this picture. It's so cute.
Thank you.
This is a picture of you in... Quickly say the name?
Leicester Road Primary School.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you look so innocent. Gary, I don't know.
I still am.
I don't know. I can't confirm you ever know.
I still am.
So in this picture, you look so innocent, and I want to know: is this before Limpopo or?
Oh, this was after.
After Limpopo.
This was after.
Okay, so this is Eddie with a mixture of Limpopo and Joburg. So tell me about this person. Like, where did hockey start? And like, what kind of kid were you in the classroom? Were you like a nerd? Were you popular? Were you like very athletics? Like, did you like making friends? Are you a boy's boy? Or did you have lots of female friends like at this age? Like, because obviously when you go to high school, it's a completely different story. And I want to tap into that.
Yeah.
Because it's like a singular sex school. I also went to all-girls school.
Okay.
So I know like our lives there is very different to like co-ed. But I want to know here, tell us about this person. Who was he?
Yeah. Ah, man, looking at me, I think I'll just put it like that. Firstly, in primary school, my whole primary school life, I was always referred to as Edward because my first name is Edward.
Okay.
Eddie just became this cool thing. I think, later on, you think like, grade 7, like.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. So here, this is Edward. and I was in grade 2
No.
to S. Mr. Stoffberg was my teacher.
Aw.
And yeah, I was a very talkative child. Like I love talking. I still do. Very talkative. So in the classroom, I was always like that child that, Mr. Stoffberg could be shouting at me. You're like, keep quiet.
So did you have like lots of friends?
I always chill with the cool kids.
Okay, so you were popular.
I was popular, but I wasn't like the cool kid, but I always wanted to be associated with the cool kids.
So were you the smart kid?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I was the smart kid. I mean, I did pretty fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I managed to pass and, do...
But why did you want to be with the cool kids? I was the cool kid, ne?
See, I wanted to be with you.
Okay, yes. Yeah. And I remember, like, it was so interesting. So why did you want to be with the cool kids?
I think it's more of sense of belonging, because, in that time, if you would chill with the cool kids, then other people or the others, primary school kids will think that I'm cool as well, like them. So I think it's probably that, and then it makes me feel it's a confidence thing. So like now I'm chilling with the cool kids, now I'm more confident.
Okay.
Now I feel better about myself.
But you are one of them, if you're chilling with them. Because the one thing about cool people, they don't allow people in their space if they don't vibrate at the same frequency. So if you are with the cool people, that means you're cool too.
Yeah.
Because I think like for us as people, we like to disqualify ourselves, even though we're already as equal as those people, and it might not look like that, but cool people you can't sit with us. That's the vibe. Like you not like us.
Yes,
and so if you made it into like that barrier, it means that you belonged. And yeah, that's so interesting. Okay,
it's more of a seeking validation. I think I'd say, of like, okay, if the cool kids approve of me, then I'm cool. Maybe that's what that's what it was. Yeah.
But for me, like my experience with the cool people, I was smart and cool. So like I played chess, and my friends didn't know that. Even like when I started liking to read, like people found it very weird that I like reading. Like, Hope, you read? What the hell? So I would always like hide the smart me, because I always felt like as much as being a cool kid was cool, it also came with like, you didn't have an opinion because this is how we walk. I remember this like incident. There was this girl who couldn't come. There was like an outing to the mall. Yeah. It's so stupid actually. And she couldn't afford to come that weekend. And like, then she told us as the group, and the group leaders were like, this girl, you're not going to come. And then when she left, they were like, all of us mustn't talk to her.
Oh, wow.
So you see, it's like that for me, like when there's like a culture, a group culture, sometimes as much as it's nice to belong in the culture, I feel that your voice sometimes kind of like gets lost. And I think it's interesting that I'm bringing this whole thing up, because you are really in the culture of SA film. Right?
Yes.
And you have a strong voice in SA film. So how did you establish that? You know, because I know there's a question you like to ask people, like, what's your most famous person on your contact list, you know? So it also shows that you are with these people that are like prominent and relevant and have impact, and you belong in that space. I mean, we're going to get into that later, but you have power at the seat of decision making, and you are influencing the space, and you are creating the language around which the space is received.
Yeah. That's very true.
So how, like for you, this cool thing, like I want to like bring it back to this person and where you are now. Like, how do you navigate that, being in this space and also like the cool thing? Because it is a cool space.
Yeah, it is. It's a very interesting space, because I think that in South Africa, we don't really have many voices and many, like, compared to like an American market. So I always use this example, as in press junkets right? So those interviews that we do with like all the streamers, Netflix, Showmax, and them. In America, that's huge. You know, they've developed like a culture for it. But in South Africa, like people don't, we still not really, people don't really know much about that. And I think the reason behind that is that I think we are 10 years behind America. And in terms of and I want you to also understand that filmmaking, it's an ecosystem. So it's a whole ecosystem. So from like a platform like what you're doing now, you're part of the ecosystem. SA Film Chronicles, they're part of the ecosystem. So in order for our film industry to go forward, right, we need to work on like things like your marketing,
distribution.
And then now you're coming into the media side, like your media interviews. All these things are so important in contributing to this product that we are trying to create. So yeah, I don't know if I'm answering your question.
You are answering it because you're basically saying that this voice that you've created called SA Film Chronicles is speaking for parts of the ecosystem that is necessary.
Absolutely.
So you are contributing in a manner that is so important. Because when I was researching you, I was like, this is giving Hollywood Reporter, Vogue 73 Questions, Variety Fair. We need media in order to propel the industry forward. Also, like for me, when I wanted to be in the industry, as much as it sucked that a lot of people's lives were intruded and like it was invasive in some ways, but there was a celebrity culture that like was around in the times of drum. So can you about this? Like you knew who was in the industry, right? And I feel like what you're doing is that not only are you showcasing what is happening, you're also giving them a voice to say, this is how this experience was like for me. Because I think that's what publicity does.
Yes.
It gives the creators a voice to own their narratives. Whereas if someone else like paparazzi is telling your narrative. So I feel like your platform, like even with the interviews that you've done, like for instance, the one with the female trailblazers, you were giving the females a voice to say, this has been my experience in this industry and this is what I advise on.
Yeah. So an interesting thing about the Female Trailblazers project that we did, that was in collaboration with Lesega Soke. So just a quick backstory. She hit me up and be like, yo, I want to do this thing. We want to honor, women in the film and TV industry, but we're not just going to honor women and in the TV and film industry that everybody knows about. We're going to go beyond, like we're going to go behind the scenes,
I love
there's so many heroes behind the scenes.
I love
that people don't know about. From your commissioning, it's not even about production. It goes as far back as commissioning editors, executive producers, people that sit in, board decision makers that sit in your boardroom. And what I actually learned about working on that project was that it's very important for us to understand, getting back to the ecosystem, it's very important for us to understand that because we critique shows. You and I, when we're watching a movie and a series at home, we'll critique a show. And how crazy is it that, okay, you'll critique a show and then you'll question yourself, like, who approved for the show to be, to be commissioned, right? So it's important for you to know the people that are commissioning these shows so you can hold them accountable, because now okay, that's the person that commissioned this show. And now you can hold them accountable, like, why? And that's where media comes in. So then that's when I step in now and we have these interviews and be like, well, this is a show that's happened. I don't really approve, or I don't think that I like how you guys went on about it. Why did you guys approve about it? Why did it get the certain amount of budget? And you start having those conversations. So it's very important to highlight those sort of people that are not really seen. Because at the end of the day, all we see is the actors and the famous directors.
Yeah.
And, that's where it ends. but we need to go beyond that.
I believe it's so important what you're saying. I think here at Archive is exactly that. We not only going to bring people that everybody knows, but we want to show, like, there's a lady, her name is Andiswa. She's the sign language person for most of lockdown.
Yes.
And we were interviewing her, and she is such an incredible sign language instructor. And that is an art.
Yes.
It is contributing to this ecosystem. And as equally as important as the news anchor is, the person that is interpreting the news to the deaf community is equally as important. So isn't it important for us to hear from her about her story? You see what you're saying? Like, the people that do make decisions in the interview, in the industry, people don't know them. They walk in the room, they walk out, and you don't know me. I know exactly who it is. Like, when I walk in a room, I know exactly who everybody is.
Yeah.
Because I'm a researcher by nature. So it's so nice to know, like, when someone is speaking on a panel, or when someone, because a lot of the people who have power, they're not cocky. They're very chilled. They don't even want to be known.
Exactly.
They don't want to be known. They walk in the room, nobody sees them. I'm like, I see you.
Yeah.
So I love that. I loved that interview. It was so beautiful to see, like, even just hearing their journeys, you know. And I want to bring it back to you. And I want to bring it back to this kid that is in high school that is now falling in love with film.
Yes.
So you have your hockey dream.
Yes.
And I feel that hockey is such a great sport.
Yeah.
It teaches you a lot. So I want you to tell us, like, what did hockey teach you about yourself and about community? It's a very community-based sport.
Yeah, it is.
And then now you have your passion for film that is brewing, and this battle between film versus hockey. And now you have a scholarship.
Yeah. So I actually, for the longest time, grew up and I thought that I'd be this, you know, big star hockey player. My dream was always to go to the Olympics. And you come to a point in your life where you realize that, like, you know what, like, you can't really make money from hockey in South Africa, sadly, right? But the filmmaking thing, I'll always say that it was always like in my back pocket. Like, it was always like, yeah, that's where I want to be. But for now, I want to just, you know, I want to do something else in the meantime. And
why is that?
I think it's because of access and the not only access, but during that time when I was growing up, like, yes, we had black filmmakers, but, like, I don't think we had as many as we do now. So, one of the thing of like I don't really have much references. Like, yes, I know the
tangible proof.
Yeah, you know, like people that I can look up to as a teenage or young black South African man that wants to get into this industry. You know, so I like the questions you asked about, like, what I learned from hockey. Hockey taught me discipline. And these are things that I still instill. I carry with me even now throughout, you know, with everything that I do. It taught me how to work in a team. So I always treat filmmaking as, like, you know, I treat it like the different positions in hockey. You know, like you'd have, of course, your captain would be like the director. And then, you know, then like your left wing, right wing, I could be like, okay, that's grips. That's your screenwriter. So, you know, but in order for the team to score a goal, all these people in this position need to work together, pass the ball to each other, you know, and then in order to score the goal, which is like filmmaking, because in filmmaking, from development right up to distribution, even post that, the story goes through different journeys and it's in the hands of different people at different times, you know, and our end goal is for us to, I mean, some people, they want to make money from their films and that's perfectly fine, but it's to create an amazing film, you know, is to speak to your audiences, for your audience to relate to the film. So that would be like the goal, like the main aim for it. So that's how I always use hockey and, you know, to relate to the film.
It's so cute how you're lighting up.
Yes.
Like, it's cute because it's so true. I learned this the hard way through this experience, that a dream or a vision or an idea, in the landscape of film is not yours alone to carry.
Absolutely.
And that there are going to be moments that other people are going to have to carry this dream and this idea. And it's also like dying to self. Because you have ideas. For instance, if you're a script writer and you came up with this incredible story, and now the director steps in and his vision for the story is now taking a different angle, it's dying to self as the script writer to be like,
you need to learn to let go. You need, honestly.
And that's also scary because I also feel like in edit, it's the same thing. Because now what we shot is now what is going to happen in the editing room is also going to be changed. So now the people that shot it also have to die to self.
Yeah.
So there's this constant dying of self, and not in a bad way. I think maybe the words I'm using is wrong, but it's like that surrender of this story goes beyond me.
Yeah.
And I have to allow the story to be shaped by the community in which it's birthed.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. So I want to take you back to the point of when it goes to edit. So, editing is actually, that's a script on its own. Like, I don't know if you understand.
Learning that the hard way.
So a screenwriter will write a script in a certain way. Then the director would, of course, interpret it and like, okay, let's do this, let's change this, do that, right? And then, you shoot it and all. But then when you come to, in post, in the edit suite, that's a script on its own. I always say that editing is the final rewrite. So anything that you might have missed out or got wrong in your script that's not there or that isn't there or that's there in editing, you can change the narrative, essentially.
The story.
Yeah. And it's the most, I always think about it and I'm like, I don't think people really understand that. About how important editing is. Every department is important, but editing is also, it's just as essential. And also in terms of, with editing, I always say, you need to shoot to edit. So you're not just going to rock up on set and just like, oh yeah, we're just going to shoot, No, you got to shoot to edit. As a director, when you're shooting something, in your mind, you've really got to be picturing it like, okay, after I'm going to cut from this close up and I'm going to go to that wide. I'm going to go from that wide to medium close up. You've always got to shoot to edit. So yeah, it's just a piece of...
I think what you're saying is so important, and it goes back to the conversation about these people that are important, that are adding to this ecosystem. Because our producer always says, Dina, she says, the story is made in edit. And you confirmed that, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying that this role, because for someone who doesn't understand editing, you thinking that the director calls the shots and that that the whole story is based on the director. And as much as the director, for me, how I understand a director is someone that carries the vision. In editing, the editor is the one that, if you carrying
pieces together, you literally putting everything together.
Okay, you're putting everything together, and you're carrying. I get it. Okay, how I like to understand stuff is maybe using pregnancy, where there's a seed and it's been baked, and now so the director is the pregnancy season where like you're birthing. Oh no, that's like the script writer.
That's where you birth it.
Yes,
right,
and then the director, we could say, is the person that is teaching in like the first 7 years of the child. And now the editor, I think editing is actually adulting, where everything that you've learned up to that point is now put to the test. Because like you're saying, when we shoot to edit, when we're editing, it's now like, let's see these life lessons that you've learned.
Yeah, it's like, it's another good example for that is like your parents will discipline you. Like, let's just say you forgot, you lost your school jersey, and your parents like, oh, back then they were Rashaparina.
Yes,
now it's not allowed. Now it's not allowed. But I'm just saying, back then, so it would always stick to your mind like, if I lose this jersey, I'm going to be in trouble. So it teaches you about like responsibility and consequences. Is for that. So I think, that could be a way to look at it as well.
Yeah.
So Eddie, something that I find very interesting about you is your passion for South African films. And because I find it interesting, because if you talk to most filmmakers, they always talk about Hollywood or international directors or people like Spike Lee or Quentin Tarantino when they, oh, I watched that movie, like, I want to be a filmmaker. So for me, your passion about South African film specifically, like, where did that come from, like, because I think most of us did grow up in the landscape of South Africa, but we've been privileged to have access to Hollywood, right? And America. Not only that, BBC, we've had access to the UK, and other people have access to like Korea. So our access to entertainment since, well, for me, DSTV gave me access to global platforms. And so that even me, I like the Hollywood dream, but here you are and you're basing your dream on South African film, and you birthed your company called SA Film Chronicles.
Yeah.
So what's your relationship like with South Africa specifically, that you would dedicate your brand and your business and just your on South Africa? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier on, that I always had a dream that I would go to the Olympics, service in my country. Because I'm a person that I really love South Africa. I'm really passionate about this country more than anything. Before we even come to, the filmmaking side of it, but I love my country. And I believe that we live in such a beautiful country, and I haven't traveled overseas yet, but from what I've heard from people, they say that like there's not many places can be as accommodating
as South Africa. We are so welcoming.
Yeah, we're so welcoming. Like I think we're one of the most loving nations.
That's so true.
So taking back to all our relationships in my country. So when I realized that, like, okay, that Olympic hockey dream is not going to happen, what else can I do to give back to my country?
So the birth of your SA Film Chronicles was what I want to give back to my country.
Not necessarily for that, but I've always told myself, like, what can I do to give back to my country? And I think it just happened, like the universe aligned that this is what I'm doing to give back to my country, because I believe what I do. Not necessarily don't really get paid much. Most of the stuff I actually do for free. And it's all fueled because I just love local film and cinema. I really believe, I don't even think it's about love. I think I believe in our stories so much. I think our stories can make such an impact in the world. I believe that our stories can revolutionize the way people think, the way we live our lives. I think that we have the potential to do that.
We do that.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, because I have a quote that I used to like say in varsity, that African stories have the power to change the world. And that as much as we come to work and we're tired and whatever, I don't think we realize how much power we have in what we're doing, because firstly we're programming people's minds.
Yeah.
Around what society looks like, what society is meant to be, who we are, identity. So much is coming from art and entertainment, and like SA Film. Tell me about SA Film Chronicles.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a deep story for me. So I started at actor, and because I wanted to just degree in filmmaking, and then at the end of my first year, so I was lucky enough to land in Joburg as well to study film. I don't think I can name the company. It's just yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then what ended up happening is, so we all assumed that, like, okay, cool, like we're on this relationship. So in my second year, to be like, okay, relationship in review. So like attending my second year,
Is this still after?
After, yeah.
Okay.
So we completed first year, now we're second year. And then literally I'd say April, just before the halfway mark, April, May, 19 of us that were on this bursary discovered that they let go of their film students. They're not funding the film. And you're only finding out this like
in the middle of your second year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I come from like a very background.
Okay.
In film school fees are
expensive.
So
you're 100,000.
Yeah. So then I had to drop out of film school. And so when I dropped out of film school, it was very depressing. At the time, I was emotionally, I was just stuck. I was a wreck. Because I've always wanted to do this.
And what did it feel like for you, like having lived your dream? And not per se lived the dream, but you are in the world in it, and you're not understanding. Because I mean, a year and a half into something, you kind of understand what this place is, you know. So now you're in it, and you're like, okay, there's momentum. I live talking. I'm in the thing, and now these people.
So then I was at home in my mother's bedroom, my mother and my father's house, and I said to myself, like, okay, well, what am I going to do? And I told myself, I was like, Eddie, you know, you've always wanted to be in this industry. This is what you want to do. So you don't let this stop chasing your dreams. Don't let this stop me from chasing my dreams. And I was like, okay, well, in that time, during that time, I was still doing movie reviews as well. You know, so I was like,
on
YouTube, yeah.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to start a platform that's going to recognize filmmakers and actors and make them be seen. And the other thing was that I always wanted to be on film sets because now I was in film school. So I was like, what are the ways that I need to get into this industry? I always been about getting into the industry, yeah. So I was like, well, what else can I do to get into the industry? And then I would hit up a lot of these cinematographers, the directors, and I think them up. It's going to be in a set. I just want to learn. I just want to go, you know, and I think you can take it from there. And what's funny now is
most of
those guys that are blue ticking me are the ones that are like asking me for interviews, like, oh, would love to be in a film Chronicles, please interview us. You know, so I'm just like, yeah, life is very long.
It's very weird. Like, so you should be friends first.
Yeah, that's what I live by. Like, work hard, be nice to people, you know, be brave, be nice to people.
Because tomorrow we don't know.
Yeah, you don't know where it can take you. So that's when I started SA Film Chronicles, and I really think I owe a lot to Netflix. I really owe so much to them because I don't think SA Film Chronicles would be where it is if it wasn't for their guidance and help. Because even I remember the first premiere that I attended was for Silver Siege. And and the head of publicity for Sub-Saharan Africa, Marang, honestly changed my life. She hit me up, she DM'd me on Twitter.
Really?
And she was like, hey, we have a premiere, come through, you know, we see a platform. And this time, like, SA Film Chronicles was just starting off. And I was like, how did you even find us? But I think
Destiny, how come?
You know, they've got a beautiful, you know, research team, and they're always looking for new voices in the entertainment industry space. So I guess that's how they found us. And then from then it just grew, you know, because like now we're looking at celebrities, we're on red carpets, you know, like, and then like now
and you're doing this incredible work. So now tell me about it, Snap. You are at this premiere.
Yeah.
So Winter Siege.
Yeah.
So I want to take it back to my like big event that I was like, whoa. It was, I just got the job for Joburg Film Festival.
Yes.
And I was working JBX with Azania.
Yes.
And now I was working with Azania, right?
Yeah.
And now she's leaving, and they tell me you have access to everything.
Okay.
Anything you want to go to JFF, you can just let us know.
Yeah.
So the first night, so I like my clothes are very planned.
Yes.
Like everything is planned. If I not like when I'm in my everyday life, but if I go somewhere, and I have to present myself in a certain way. So now I'm wearing shorts and a shirt because earlier on it was the day before like the opening of Joburg Film Festival. So this is the opening night. So in the day we're busy working and working. So now I have my backpack on and shorts and I'm going to the venue and now there's red carpet and Quinzo and all these people. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What is going on? And I packed a red carpet outfit in my bag. So now I'm scared because I don't know anybody now.
It's very daunting.
This room is filled with really important people. They all know each other. I went to the bathroom and I called my friend Buzzy and my friend, I have an outfit in my bag. Should I change? Does it look forward? What's going on? And it's just like for me, like I know now how to handle myself in the room because I've been to so many events and it's a muscle. I think networking is a muscle.
Absolutely.
You get better and better at it. Now, compared to then, it's so different.
Yeah.
So for me, you go to this Silverton Siege launch and it's Mandla Dube and
Tower of Meditation.
So what's happening at this event? Like, how did you arrive? Were you nervous? Did they just welcome you? Like, did they make you feel like, okay, you belong? It was just an invite. And how do we get from come to our event to we are partners with Netflix, Showmax, and Prime and so on? Like this. It's a very important relationship in your life, Netflix.
Yeah.
So how did we go from come to our event to now you are one of us?
Yeah. It definitely wasn't from Silverton Siege. I think Silverton Siege was more of like a getting used to this environment and meeting everybody and like, okay, I'm like all these superstars here, like no about Chanagumbi here, because then David Gennaro, the Taxi played David Gennaro.
Okay, I know.
Yeah. You know, so like there's all these big stars there, and even our first lady was there. Yeah, she was there as well, and you know she came with her entourage of bodyguards. So like this event was like really like next level. But I think that actually happened because I wasn't presenting red carpets for Silverton Siege. I was just there to just guess. I wasn't really on the red carpet much. But Savage Beauty happened.
The first Savage Beauty.
The first season of Savage Beauty.
Yes.
I was actually one of the early media people covering interviews on the red carpet. There was two of us. So that was like next level. And I think, so it was then. And then after that, it just grew to more like your press junkets. And the cool thing about like, you know, working with Netflix and them is that, like the networking, like you meet so many people there and you open up to so many other opportunities because they like Showmax and like wants to work with us and like, who's these guys? Like they're doing such cool content. Then Showmax wants to work with you. And then, you know, like Prime Video later on came on board, wanted to work with us. So I think that's what was really cool about that experience and the doors that opened. Yeah.
You know what's interesting for me is how one person is a door to 5 other people. So I'm a content producer, right? For radio. So I have to get interviews every day.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, mostly or some nights are hectic.
Yeah.
But because I produce for breakfast. So 6:30, the script has to be written, the guest has to be booked. And when you get guests, you know, so I've learned how to do that now. But it's the same thing, like with how Netflix opened the door to Showmax and Amazon.
Yeah.
One person, me interviewing you, is leading me to Tembi, is leading me to the people that you're connected with. And also what I've learned happens is if Netflix is partnering with SA Film Chronicles, who is SA Film Chronicles?
Yes.
And now people want to also be associated to your brand because it's now deemed credible.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And credibility is the most important. Yeah, credibility is the most important thing. Like I never want to chase clouds. Never want to be like and it's okay for people that want to be the breaking news and that's perfectly fine. If it's what their business is aligned to, that is perfect. But for us, It's more of, we want to do things the right way. We want to shine the industry in a positive way, because essentially we believe that we were the ambassadors for South African films. So the work that we put out there and the things that we do reflects globally about what's happening in South Africa, because people around the world will look to us to see what's happening in South Africa. Because SA Film Chronicles is covering all these films and series that happen in South Africa. So they'll look to us and be like, okay, let's see what's happening in South Africa, in the South African market. So the work that we bring out, I always want to produce, I always want us, my team, we always want to produce, high quality work.
That positively contributes to who the South African film industry is.
Yeah.
And you know what I love about what you're doing? And I want to tap into this distribution, right?
Yes.
Because as soon as I got into the film festival space and started working in film festivals and being a film curator, I got exposed to a lot of films. Like, it was my job to sit in my bed and watch films for so many hours.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would be so sad. Or, for instance, if I go and attend film festivals and I get invited to them, I get to see so many incredible films and nobody's seeing them.
Which is very sad.
And I go to Sturkinako and they're not playing. And I'm like, okay, these very expensive films that are being made with $1 million budgets that are being made, who is seeing them? These incredible short films that you guys are making, that we are making, oh my word, the short films in this country are incredible.
We make some incredible short films.
Who is watching them? Channels. Are they playing these things? Because it's so sad for me that I can tell you about amazing films that are produced and made in South Africa. But that's because that's my job to know that. But if I'm just a girl in Tembisa and I want to watch Mirror Mirror, it's this amazing short film. That film is amazing. It's so good for a young woman to watch. It gives you confidence in your body, in yourself. I get to have that experience and have the confidence that my womanhood is like important, but she doesn't get to see that because distribution in South Africa is not there. I don't understand it. I also ask people, in power, when I get to meet them, the production houses, I ask them like, who we're making this incredible work, who is seeing it, and how is it that the ecosystem of film don't take marketing and distribution of film seriously, but you're willing to put in 9 million, 12 million for product that only you and your friends are going to see. Because let's be honest, the rooms are the same people.
I share some of the sentiments with you. And so that's an interesting question you ask in terms of distributing and marketing. I really feel that there's a lot of gatekeeping in it, because if you look at the distributors that we have in the country, I can literally count it on my fingers. Why is that the case? We need to start asking ourselves such questions of like, why do we have such few less distribution, platforms? And we also need to hold them accountable as well and be like, are they really putting in the work? Are they putting in enough work to market these films? No, they're not.
No.
But then again, let me be the devil's advocate on this, is that, and because I would say that essentially it might not be necessarily the distributor's responsibility to market your film. I see a lot of production companies shoot this wonderful project and then, just leave it in thin air and you're hoping that somebody's going to market your film for you. If you are going to be making a film, marketing begins at home. Marketing begins at, you've got brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles. They can market they go to school, they go to work, they've got their different workplaces. Why can't you start that conversation from then? you know?
Because I feel like, especially with filmmakers, there's this certain pride that they have in their product where it feels like if I go and ask my mom to go tell her church WhatsApp group, please can you watch my film? It feels that it's not worthy to go to Cannes Film Festival. It's not exclusive. There's this certain exclusivity and like, I can say, man, like that I see in the film industry, and I don't think it's working because even let's take events, film festivals, film people don't go. I go to everything, and it's the same 5 people there, and I'm just like, how do we expect this place to nurture you if you can't support it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain exclusivity that I'm not getting. Whereas in the music industry, music people support music.
And they attend.
Bro. Like, they are there. They are there. They are there at the festivals. They are there at the workshops. They are there at the listen. Someone can just be playing their album.
Yeah.
And then they call it a listening session. But essentially, I could have listened to this album in my room. I could have listened to this album in my room, but there's a hype around each other. And I feel like in the film industry, if that's not my friend...
Yeah. And I want to give a piece of advice. If you're a young creative film student and you want to get into the film industry, attend film festivals. The reason why I say you need to attend film festivals is because that's where you get access to all the best producers, directors, cinematographers, and you get to literally physically engage with them. You know, because
it's not the DM anymore.
It's not the DM.
I don't know who you are.
Because
I don't know who you are.
Because they not necessarily won't respond to you, but they're unlikely to respond to you because they get so many DMs from so many different people because we were all hungry. We were all chasing the same bread, you know? But if you attend film festivals, you get to meet Hope Mareka in person.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
And I get to, have a conversation with Hope and get to show Hope my work and tell Hope my aspirations about what I want to do, how we can collaborate, so forth.
Sometimes, it's not even about, can I please show you my film? Sometimes for me, it's about, hi, Eddie.
Yes.
I'm Hope Mareka.
Yes.
And that's enough. Like, I think for me, I've learned that timing is also everything when it comes to building relationships in this space.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I really don't want to know how you shot your film.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to know what kind of person is Eddie like, because I think it also influences how you work with people. Because it does get tiring, like you're saying. Everybody that needs you just wants to go to, can you please mentor me? Can you please? Yes. When are you asking, how can I give back to you? How can I? What? Because this table that we're talking about, people so desperately want a seat at the table, but they don't realize that to be at the table, you must offer something.
Yes.
You get me?
Yes.
So now, instead of coming with the spirit of offering and giving, you here to take. I want the ribs. I want this. And now those that are chilling at the table are comfortable. Yeah. They're not taking. They're giving.
They're giving, yeah.
So it's this relationship that I think emerging artists, they fail to kind of understand that it's important to hustle. It's important to put yourself out there. It's important to market yourself, but it's also important to give.
Yes.
It's important to start that YouTube channel. It's important to start that TikTok account, shoot stuff so that by the time that person is going to actually read your email, you coming with something.
Portfolio to show all the things that you've been doing in the background in order to get to this dream or this goal. And because there's a lot of people as well that are just sitting there and are just awaiting.
Yes.
Or, I'm just waiting for a streamer to contact me. It's not going to happen. You need to get up and actually put in the work now. I could have easily, after leaving film school, just sat there and feel sorry for myself. I'm just going to wait for whoever to contact me. No, you gotta do the hard yards, you gotta
and
get your hands
research.
dirty, Yes,
research. YouTube, how to build a for me, I don't only research things that I need.
Yeah.
I go and I research a gaffer. What is a gaffer?
Yes.
How does a gaffer? So that when I'm on set, I understand your point of view, and I have a seat in your shoes.
And understanding how a gaffer works.
Yes.
Understanding lighting.
It's so important to be educated in this industry, because I think we always selling the lights, the cameras, and that's important. That's what SA Film Chronicles gives us. Yeah. It gives us red carpet. It gives us Hollywood. It's giving lights, camera, action. Yeah. But what I love about what you guys also do is on that red carpet, you are having impactful conversations with the audience. You're asking this Kanying Bao woman that's incredible. You asking her how she feels about this role that she played, and she's able to educate the audience members. Because now we always getting Kanye, like you see, the fashion queen, but now we actually getting to know her professionally.
Yes.
So I love that. I love that it's the blending of the process of this industry. Yeah. I was watching your content and I was learning so much about the film industry while getting access to these crazy people.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about it, is that, like, for us, the most important person for us is our audience. Audience is the most important person. So I'm very grateful and privileged and lucky that a lot of these shows, before the premiere, I get a screener, like sometimes a month before. So I get to watch it, like a on a private link. And the way I approach my questions for these interviews is, I always, like, when I watch a film, I always try to see, like, okay, what would an audience, I wear my filmmaker hat, my filmmaker cap, my audience cap, like as an ordinary person, and like, what would an ordinary person pick up and and they would want to ask, like, oh, I see something there, so you always have to have that mindset at all times, when working in this media space, and especially when you're interacting with directors and actors, you got to ask them questions that
the audience
are curious about.
Yes.
And how I always try to see if this experiment works is that a month later, when the film comes out and then we distribute the content, and then I just, you're just scrolling through Twitter, and then you'd see someone ask a question or something like that, or query about a certain aspect about what's happening in this film or the series, and then I'd be like, oh my goodness, I actually asked that question.
That's dope.
And then I'd create crop the clip, like a 30-second clip, and then I'd respond with the answer. And a lot of the audiences would appreciate that and be like, oh my goodness, wait, this film came out today and we really have interviews and answers for it, because of course we shoot these things prior to that. So you always got to think like an audience, and the audience will appreciate that, to be like, I was curious about this, but this actor's actually answered for why they did that in that scene, or why certain things are happening in that scene in that way. It's just, audience is your priority.
I love that you speak about the audience, because I think I'm falling in love with being mindful of audience, and this relationship that South African audience has with the work that we create.
Yeah.
Because you speak about it you say that with a streaming platform, that 150 that you must pay for Showmax and Netflix, that's the same price that is a movie ticket.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, I know exactly where you're going with this, yes.
And now we're going to tap into that, but now it's that the audience in South Africa are very loyal to what they love.
Yeah.
And that's where we get into the culture of soapies.
Yes.
And telenovelas.
Yes.
We have a huge soapy and telenovela culture in this country. And 88 generations, bra.
Yeah.
Like, whether mama or pair, everybody's seated, we are watching. That is, Generations is the most iconic thing to ever happen to South African TV. And you know why I say that? It had the power to bring a whole nation together for a story.
Every day.
And it was 8, brah. So now we are living in 2024.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the streaming platforms,
Yeah.
the movies, the cinema,
Yeah.
and soapies.
Mm.
All of these 3 different mediums have audience, and how the audience relates to this on-screen product.
Yes. Yes.
So the people that watch soapies have a relationship with the soapies and the telenovelas. The people that go to the cinema and watch the cinema have the relationship with the on-screen product. And the people that are streaming are also having a relationship. So now, how do we then, as a person that's creating an on-screen product, how do you balance these 3 different roles? Because I think they're so different, and
I don't think it's about balancing.
Okay, what do you think it's about?
I think that each of them can coexist. Together.
Okay.
So if you look at it in this perspective, South Africans we are a soapy telenovela country. We don't really create as many films, and we don't really watch as many films as a nation.
Why?
I think I think it's because of, so when you look into the telenovela space, people, they watch things that they can relate to. So a character like Zodwa on Gomorrah,
everybody knows a Zodwa in their life.
Yeah, Mam Mavis on Rockville. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what South African audiences, telenovelas and our TV shows are a reflection of their reality that they face every day. And they want to watch things that they can relate to, things that they can understand. Not saying that they can't find it in films, but a film comes and goes. It can be a once-off thing or once a year thing. But the telenovela, they get to watch this character and they build a connection and a relationship with this character, because they every day at 8:00 they're watching this character develop for 2 seasons, 3 seasons. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but I don't know how I feel about the soapy and telenovela culture, because it tends to be like wrap it up. You know what I love about Netflix actually is that they give you 6 episodes and they keep you waiting
for the.
And this is not just in South African Netflix productions; it's in their productions
in general,
short and sweet. And I think that's what I love about like international productions. They're giving you 22 episodes, babe. And they're making sure that those 22 is keeping you on your seat.
Yeah.
Season 1, episode 265.
Yeah. But the issue, I think the issue that we have then is that a telenovela will do well. And a telenovela is actually something that's supposed to be here for a certain amount of time and then needs to stop. And come to an end.
Yes.
But what's happened is our telenovelas have turned into soapies, because there's some telenovelas that do so well. And now, your commissioning editors and, the producers, now they milk the cash cow. Because now it's making so much money for them, because ratings go up. That means more advertisers, more views, so forth. And now you see telenovelas go on for like 7, 8 seasons, which is a bit ridiculous for me.
Because the story is dried up.
Yeah.
Like, I see that a lot. There's like a hot telenovela. Everybody's watching it. We're all enjoying it.
Yeah.
2-3 years down the line, it's the same story.
It's the same story, and it's this recycled story.
Oh, my word.
Recycled story. So that's why I think we need a pioneer in the industry that can, or maybe not even a pioneer, but we as filmmakers need to start watching each other's films. And we need to start watching each other's films so that we know the bar and the level. We don't have, at the moment, everybody's doing their own thing.
Yes.
No, everybody's doing their own thing. Eddie's doing his own thing. Hope is doing his own thing, her own thing. And there's no sense of direction and there's no bar. So now if we have a bar, I'm like, okay, wow, Hope's film is right up here. Like, what am my next film needs to exceed that. Because at the moment, it's like everybody's just doing their own thing. We don't even know what standard it is. You create a film and you think that like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Meanwhile, it's way below par. So that's what I would say our filmmakers need to check.
So Eddie, you've told us about distribution. You've spoken about how hockey has instilled this great amount of discipline in you. We've shared so much about the beauty and love that you have for specifically South African cinema.
Yeah.
We've spoken about a lot of things, and I think thank you for your contribution on this show. I think it's been really, really lovely to also tap into the business and the media that comes with film, right?
Yeah.
And I want to know from you, what's your favorite film?
Yeah.
What's your favorite South African film? And what do you think makes a great film?
Okay. So my favorite South African film, and what I think makes a great film. So my favorite film, all time, is Southpaw. I'm into a lot of these sports films.
Okay.
And I think it's related to the whole sports background. Yeah, so I just really enjoyed Southpaw with Billy Hope's character, Jake Gyllenhaal, one of my favorite actors. My favorite South African film. Oh, am I allowed to say? Because I mean, I'm kind of like a pioneer for
Okay.
But I do have one.
Okay.
But it's just nothing personal if I didn't choose a film. But my favorite South African film is Knuckle City.
I love it. Breaking boundaries.
Yeah. And
okay, tell me about your love with it.
But boxing, it's that whole thing again of
sports.
The sports background into it of the film. But I think I like Jamil XT Kubeka's directing style.
Okay.
I love how it captures raw essence of it's a raw essence South African storytelling.
It's too raw. It's like
yeah,
what's happening?
But it's realities.
I mean,
that is literally what's happening in certain townships in the Eastern Cape, and
that's true.
With also having my mother's from there, but having a background from there, it's kind of things, visiting family, things that you can relate with, to be like, oh wow, that teenage pregnancy is actually it's normalized, in some of these communities, and it shows the realities of that. Yeah. And then what I essentially think makes a great film, story. Story is everything. I always say story is key. There's no great director, producer that can, or any sort of filmmaker that can save a bad script. If a script is bad,
then the story, everything is bad.
And that's why we do what we do, because we are storytellers. We want to tell stories. So essentially, if you're going to be wanting to tell stories, then that's what a good film should be. Never mind cinematography, never mind all the other technical aspects of it, but it's all about the story.
So Eddie, in this world of lights and cameras and red carpets and reality TV sets and conceptualizing films, where do you see the growth of SA film going, and how do you see us as the next generation of filmmakers shaping that world?
Yeah.
And then where do you see the position of SA Film Chronicles in the landscape of South African film?
Yeah. So I essentially see, I think that we're almost there, guys, in terms of the productions and the films that we make. Yes, budgets and all these other issues, but I think that as the years are going by, we're really getting close to from being a good filmmaking country to being a great. We're not great. We're nowhere close to our glory days, but I think that we're on the path, and it's just a matter of time. It just takes that one Oscar film to really elevate us to that level. Example, with K-dramas, it took Squid Game for them to elevate them to that from good to great. Because that's when like everybody approved them. So I think that we're on the right path. We need to just create a standard for the films that we're creating and have a bar. And every filmmaker that's making a film needs to try and achieve above that bar.
Who is saying that this is the bar? Who is measuring? And how do we practically create the bar? Because it's nice for us to say we must create the bar, but we taking responsibility away from ourselves in this bar that is being created. And also like culture.
Yeah.
I feel that something that you guys do at SA Film Chronicles, you speak to the cultural landscape of SA film. But is there a culture around films in SA? And who is creating this?
Yeah, we don't really have a community. We need to first build film communities and that's establish that culture. We need to bring back the days of cinema going culture, cinema going community, because I feel like that's gone away. But I also think that we also need to also start being more strategic about, an example that's something that's always stuck with me and it just never made any sense to me. So people say cinema's dying. Fair, that's fine. But I remember when Matbeto came out and I looked at some of the cinemas that it was screening at. And the one thing that really raised alarm bells for me, I'm like, so you got this township Gussie story, about weed and, and all that. But most of the places the film is screening is in suburbs. I mean, we have Soweto Theatre or the cinema that existed there, at the time wasn't streaming this film. However, in Bedford View, we're streaming, they're screening Matwetwe. Do you know what I'm saying? So we need to start being more strategic about, where we are showing these films and that. One thing I like Showmax did this so well. So in Cape Town, they shot Spinners and Showmax so they shot Spinners and then we need to first build film communities and that's establish that culture. We need to bring back the days of cinema going culture, cinema going community, because I feel like that's gone away. But I also think that we also need to also start being more strategic about, an example that's something that's always stuck with me and it just never made any sense to me. So people say cinema's dying. Fair, that's fine. But I remember when Matbeto came out and I looked at some of the cinemas that it was screening at. And the one thing that really raised alarm bells for me, I'm like, so you got this township Gussie story, about weed and, and all that. But most of the places the film is screening is in suburbs. I mean, we have Soweto Theatre or the cinema that existed there, at the time wasn't streaming this film. However, in Bedford View, we're streaming, they're screening Matwetwe. Do you know what I'm saying? So we need to start being more strategic about, where we are showing these films and that. One thing I like Showmax did this so well. So in Cape Town, they shot Spinners and Showmax so they shot Spinners and they involved the community. But before Spinners actually aired, they actually had a screening for the people. I think it's Bontehevel. Yeah, I think that's the community. I might be mistaken. Please don't kill me if I'm wrong, guys. But in the Cape Flats community, they actually had a screening for the people of that community. And that's how you build culture. Because that inspires that little boy or that little girl to be like, oh my goodness, I have seen myself on screen. And now you can...
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think in terms of distribution, we need to involve the people of this land.
Yeah.
And not only sell to channel
Yeah.
We should involve South Africans. We should involve the kid Kutembisa,
Yeah.
Mwanako Qaqwa, Mwanako Kailicha. We should be giving them that access to film. And it changes your life. You know, when you sit, I love cinematic experiences. I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's so sacred, really. You're sitting on a seat full of room of people and all of your attention is on this big screen. It's different to a cell phone and a laptop and a TV. It's this experience of, you know... Yeah, I completely agree with you. I do believe that we need to involve our South Africans more.
Yeah.
But just to wrap it up, like, where do we see SA Film Chronicles in the landscape of cinema?
Yeah, well, I think SA Film Chronicles will be an internationally recognized publication within the next... I don't want to put a time frame to it, but that's something that'll be that's in the works as well, and it's also part of like our 5-year plan. Is there's a certain point that we want to see ourselves in, because at the moment, yes, we're in South Africa and also trying to branch out to the African market, but I think essentially is that we want to be, you know, collaborating, partnering with your Hollywood Reporters, Variety, Deadline.
I see
that's where I'd essentially, for me, you know, collaborating with those type of publications, I'd be like, okay, like we are winning. So that's the next step. And then once we reach that level, and then we'll have another interview, and then we'll speak about the next level that we would like to go to. Yeah.
And for Eddie, I mean, you are a director, you work closely with GQ, you are in the reality TV space behind the scenes. So for Eddie, like outside of SA Film Chronicle, where do you see yourself?
Yeah, I want to be a pioneer in our film and TV industry. A pioneer as in somebody that shapes the direction for the type of stories that we tell. I don't just want to be just a film director. Like, I want to be able to direct the direction that our industry is going in, because I believe that at the moment there is nobody that's doing that, and I believe at the moment we're kind of we don't have a sense of direction. So I want to be that person. You know, I believe that, you know, Uncle Sho was somebody that I think was in that line. My mentor, Legend Mangale's, you know, we have these conversations and he wants to, he's amazing. Yeah, so we have these conversations and I would say to him, like, I think right now you are the guy to do that. And, you know, in however many years' time, then I would like to take over from that, you know, and then, to do that. But also I want to go more into sports directing, TV directing, and that's, you know, working with the likes of Super Sports and those guys. I think essentially like sports was always my first home, you know, with the whole hockey thing, and it would be amazing if I get to go to the Olympics, but for the broadcast side, that would be cool.
That's amazing.
And then of course creating more reality TV. We created this cool reality show. I don't think you guys will see it anytime soon. But yeah, we shot that end of last year, beginning of this year, and it's just maybe we'll see it one day.
I hope we do.
Yeah.
I hope we do, and we can't wait to sit on our seats and enjoy the beautiful, educational, and impactful story.
Yes.
That you keep on giving.
Yes.
Eddie, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It is an absolute honor to have had you on the archive. We hope that you know that this is your new home.
This is home.
Yes.
No, thank you so much. It's been really great being here. Even when you reached out, I mean, I've been seeing some teasers of your guys' previous episodes you guys shot, and I've been like, you know, been on your directors and producers' necks, and I'm like, guys, come on, I want to join the show. Let's, you know, and I hope that we could have another episode to come in the near future.
We will do that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Baratua. for coming to the archive. It has been so amazing to hear about the beauty that is cinema, filmmaking, and programming of film. Eddie is an exceptional person, and for me, I enjoyed every nugget. I hope you at home have had an incredible taste of what SA Film Chronicles and Eddie Ramohlale has to offer. Nakalivitso ke Hope Mareka, the founder and CEO of Archive Media House. I am not alone, and as this is the final episode of season 1, I would like to shout out my team. They are so amazing. Naledi, Dineo, Lisedi, Koketso, Kidumeti, Ompile, Sia, Dimpo. All of you have been such an amazing addition to this great season that we've produced. I'm very, very proud of us. And to our audience at home, we can't wait. Season 2 is banging. We're coming with the sauce.
Yeah.
So this is Archive Media House, and we want to thank Art on Denim and Os Charity Lynn Optipol for the incredible support and for sponsoring this beautiful initiative. Oh my word.